Few cars can claim to be as versatile as the Audi Q7. It's comfortable, good to drive, and is just as at home covering huge motorway miles as it is on the school run. But this second generation model is a few years old now, so it's had a little bit of an engine refresh before we see a facelifted model in the future. We like the Q7 just as it was, so have these new changes made it any better or a bit worse? Well, keep watching to find out. And if you want to buy a Q7 or any other new car, don't forget to head to whatcar.com to see how much money you could save. There are two 3-litre V6 diesel engines to choose from. The lesser powered of the two is badged 45 TDI and gets 228 brake horsepower. It offers smooth and gutsy acceleration, but for not much more money, you can get the 50 TDI. That gets 278 brake horsepower and it feels much punchier, especially from low revs. Acceleration builds nicely from 1500 RPM, and actually, it just makes the Q7 feel more effortless when you're driving briskly. Both engines get an 8-speed automatic gearbox as standard. It's been tuned to maximise emission savings, so that can mean that it feels a bit reluctant to shift down. That can be a bit of a pain when you're going to overtake, but you do get paddle shifters as standard on the steering wheel, so if you use them, the shifts do feel a bit swifter. The standard suspension is a bit firm around town, but at higher speeds it only really jars over particularly sharp jolts. We would though still recommend going for the optional air suspension. Now, that comes as standard on S-Line, but it's an option on Sport. And if you go for it, then it completely transforms the Q7 into not only the best riding car in its class, but one of the best riding cars in any class for any price. Black Edition and Vorsprung trims also come with Sport's air suspension as standard. This lowers the ride height by 15mm, so it shouldn't be a surprise that it doesn't deliver as comfortable a ride as the regular air suspension. But it is still supple compared to rivals like the BMW X5. There's plenty of grip, and the four-wheel drive system offers lots of traction on greasy roads, but compared to sportier rivals like the Porsche Cayenne, the Q7 isn't particularly entertaining to drive quickly. The suspension allows a bit more body lean through corners, but it is still much more agile than a Land Rover Discovery. It's incredibly refined as well, so you only hear the engines under very hard acceleration, and even then they're much more smoother and pleasant sounding than any of the engines in the Q7's rivals. There's also precious little road, wind and suspension noise. You used to be able to get a plug-in hybrid Q7 e-tron and a performance-focused SQ7. They're both off sale now, and while nothing is confirmed, the most likely scenario is that you'll have to wait for the upcoming facelift for those options to become available again. All Q7s get a fully electrically adjustable driver's seat as standard, and the steering wheel, seat and the pedals are all very nicely aligned, so it's really easy to get a comfortable, natural driving position. And being an SUV, you sit quite high naturally anyway, and on top of that, you get a brilliant view all round with front and rear parking sensors as standard, along with a reversing camera. The other thing you get as standard on all Q7s is Audi's brilliant virtual cockpit. Now, what that does is essentially swap the analog instrument dials for this 12.3-inch fully configurable digital driver display, and it shows things like sat-nav maps, phone menus, audio menus and driver information. The build quality in the Q7 is as good as anything that you'll find in the class. So the whole of the interior and the dashboard is covered in these really nice soft touch materials, and all the switches feel properly robust as well. All Q7s get Audi's MMI infotainment system as standard. Now, you'll notice it's not actually Audi's latest dual touchscreen infotainment system that its newest models get, but that's no bad thing, because this 8.3-inch screen is controlled using a rotary dial down here, a trackpad and some actual physical shortcut buttons, so it's actually much simpler to use on the move. In fact, in the class, it's second only to BMW's iDrive for ease of use. Even those well over 6 feet tall will find the Q7's interior especially roomy. There's loads of headroom and legroom as well. It's a really wide interior, and there are helpful storage compartments dotted around as well to help its practicality. In the back of the Q7, you get a few more centimetres legroom than you do in a BMW X5 and Land Rover Discovery, and it virtually matches the Volvo XC90 as well. 3 tall adults will be especially comfortable in the back here, and all 3 seats are individually sliding and reclining as well. All Q7s get 7 seats as standard, and what's especially impressive is that it's only very tall adults who'll find it a bit of a squeeze in the 2 rearmost seats. But if you're under 6 foot, you'll still have plenty of room back there. But if you do carry around 7 tall people regularly, then a Land Rover Discovery will be a better bet. With the rearmost seats in place, there's still room for a couple of medium-sized suitcases in the boot of the Q7, and on some models there's some underfloor storage as well. With the rearmost seats down, the boot is absolutely massive, and if you want even more room, the middle row can be flattened as well to make it a proper load lugger. It's also good that all models get an electrically powered tailgate as standard. The Audi Q7 is priced slightly above the Volvo XC90, but it's still considerably cheaper than rivals like the Range Rover Sport and Land Rover Discovery. It's still an expensive car, but there should be plenty of discounts available. So all the more reason to go to whatcar.com and look at the new car buying section. Resale values should be very good for the Q7 as well, compared to all of its rivals. For company car users, CO2 emissions are pretty high, so compared to a Volvo XC90, the Q7 will cost a bit more to run, but not that much more. Equipment-wise, sport models get the infotainment system and Audi's virtual cockpit, but we think it's worth going for S-Line to get that ultra-comfy adaptive air suspension. Black Edition and 4-sprung models get more luxuries and more stylish bodywork, but the price is bumped up massively, so we'd stick with S-Line. Audi has a fairly average reliability record, but all Q7s come with a 3-year, 60,000-mile warranty. As for safety, you get autonomous emergency braking as standard, and the Q7 recorded the full 5-star safety rating from Euro NCAP. So this mild facelift absolutely does not detract from the Audi Q7's brilliant offering. It remains one of the very best SUVs that you can buy, with whisper quiet driving manners, a beautifully comfortable ride, and a very high quality interior. To read our full extended review of the Audi Q7 and all of its key rivals, head to whatcar.com. And don't forget, if you want to buy an Audi Q7 or any other new car, you can do that through Whatcar as well. When you're on whatcar.com, go to the new car buying section to see how much money we could save you on your next new car. Without the need for haggling, we could save you thousands. And before you do any of that, click subscribe to keep up to speed with the latest new car reviews.